In a day and age where information is spread in a nanosecond,
we are setting out to discover the uniqueness of our guests through the lost art of conversation,
140-degree temperatures, and robes.
This episode of Don't Sweat the Small Stuff is sponsored by JNH Lifestyles.
Take advantage of one of their home infrared saunas and experience the many benefits that thousands of people across the United States are praising.
Regular sessions in an infrared sauna will aid you in almost all areas of your life.
Start your joyful, natural, and healthy lifestyle today with JNH Lifestyles.
Roswell, CSI Miami, The Night Shift. Just a few of the shows you'll recognize our latest guests from.
Fehr, a Canadian actor who fell into the industry because he wasn't pretty enough to be a model. His words, not ours.
He brings his own robe, his stupidly perfect hair, and a story of how he discovered his own demise on a hit TV show. I'm Dex.
And I'm Steve-O. And this is Don't Sweat the Small Stuff.
So today, I'm at the gym and I go, oh man, we're having Brendan on. I guess I should watch Roswell. So I'd never watched Roswell. The original.
The real one. Yeah. I couldn't say it.
Yeah, well, just wait. So it's on Hulu. Yeah. And so I'm watching episode 1 while I'm on the treadmill and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is great. And how did I miss this back in the day? This is my type of show.
This is his type of show.
It holds up.
Yeah?
Kind of. For a bunch of 20-year-olds, let's be honest.
Hold on a second.
Like holds up like Smallville holds up?
Hold on.
Or holds up like The Godfather holds up?
Hold on a second.
No, it never held it.
This was
never held up like The Godfather. It wasn't even.
So this was my thought process.
It's got high standards.
I do.
He really
I
does.
really
Yeah.
do.
This was my thought process while I was on the treadmill. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch the original Roswell. I'm going to watch the first episode. Then I'm going to watch the first episode of the new Roswell. And then when we talk to Brendan, I'm going to tell him my thoughts on this.
Oh, I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
ready?
Yeah, I love it.
Screw that new Roswell. Seriously? So I started Googling, like, well, why didn't they bring back the original cast? And I'm like reading all these comments from the fans, and I've only watched episode 1. I'm already
like, you're a fanboy, and
already
you watched a singular
one episode. I'm hooked. I'm ready. And how many seasons are there? I didn't even look for that.
3.
3?
They get progressively worse.
How many episodes?
I think they get progressively worse. We lost our way a little bit. It's hard, No, it was 66 episodes. I think we did 22 a season.
I can do that in about a day.
And no, it does hold up. I mean, because how many? You're only in one episode.
Yeah, I watched the first episode.
One deep on the treadmill.
2 hours before we got here. So I'm like, I gotta do some prep.
Fresh in his brain.
Yeah, he loves it. I love it. So, yeah, I mean, then, whatever. It's, it's flattering that they thought it was cool enough to do one, but then you look at it, I mean, that's your thing, right? So,
did you watch the remake?
I know enough about it.
Okay.
So did they not come to you guys?
No.
What?
No.
You would think, okay.
I heard from like Deadline.com, right? They don't care.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I was killed on Bones, and I heard, you know how I found out I was killed on Bones? Watching it on the TV.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, that was those bones were my character. I was like, I guess I'm never coming back.
Are you kidding me?
Totally. Didn't tell me.
No way.
Kill him off.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And like 3 months previous to that, I had gotten a phone call. They're like, hey, we're thinking of bringing you back. We want to put a pin in you. And I was like, great, that's awesome.
Oh man!
And then like nothing came out of it, and I phoned my agent. And I was like, "What happened with the Bones thing?" Like I was gonna go back, and he's like, "No, they never called." I was like, "Oh, okay, great." See, episodes lag behind while you're filming, and then I happened to be watching it one day, and I was just like, "Oh,
you got Roseanne."
I was like, "Yeah, I got
basically got Roseanne."
You can't say you got Roseanne. Roseanne herself.
Yeah, like, you can't. Did you do something? Did you tweet something that maybe you shouldn't have?
He's Canadian.
Apparently, based on my track record of CSI Miami and Bones, like stealing credit cards and getting killed off. I really haven't gone out in like a blaze of glory.
Wow, man.
I've kind of just been like snuffed out in really lame ways.
Yeah. Yes, because Roswell's 3 seasons. You can't really tell us how that ended because he's only one
no
episode
spoilers.
in.
Oh,
spoilers.
I don't even remember. I think I remember. I don't really remember. People tell they're like, remember that episode? I'm like, I wasn't even
like
drinking
early
back then.
2000s, right? Dude, you were like, what, early 20s?
We were, I think I was like 20 to 22 is when we shot it. And like fresh off the boat from Canada.
I was going to say, we got to talk about that. Let's go back because I was reading a little bit about you on the old internet. And they know everything. So
yeah, it's all correct. All correct.
You were like, you're a model, you're going to go to college, you're going to do all these things, but you're really dreamy.
I just messed up my hair.
Yeah, I know.
It's humid in here.
So how did that go down where all of a sudden it was like, you know what? I'm sexy as hell. I'm going to be an actor. That's basically
it's pretty much, right? You quoted my brain. You brain quoted me.
Yeah, man.
No, I had some scholarships to some university. I love school.
Yeah.
I love school. I enjoyed school. And I was pretty good at school. And
Can you talk to my kids?
Scholarships. I don't like kids. Your kids. Yeah. You got to deal with mine.
Yeah.
And I had some scholarships, and I guess I kind of got burnt out on it a little bit. And I just want to make some money after.
Yeah.
So I went and I did landscaping, and then I delivered mats. I picked up dirty ones and put down clean ones.
Okay.
And I just wanted to make some money, find out what it meant to kind of live like an adult, I suppose, or what it was going to be like. And I did that for 2 years, and then I said, okay, now it's time to go back to school, and I was going to be a math teacher is what I wanted to be. So it was just 4 years, pretty standard, simple stuff. And I had registered for all the classes, and then I went to Vancouver. I was living in Winnipeg. I grew up in Vancouver, lived in Winnipeg for high school, went back to Vancouver for a wedding, and I had been doing like the Great Canadian Superstore, which is like a Walmart.
Okay.
They sell groceries, whatever else. I'd modeled for flyers for them, like jogging, sweet jogging pant ensembles, right? It's really hard to pull. Like even with a good body, it's hard to pull off like a really badly made sweatshirt
Walmart,
and jogging pant.
Yeah.
And I don't have a good body, which is like I'm saying, like even with a good one, you're not gonna look that good. So, but it was paying me $50 an hour, which was crazy. And I'd get a job, I'd get a gig like, one Saturday a month, and it would be like 4 hours, right?
Okay.
$200, and I'm making $725 at the other gig, and I'm like, so I started doing that, and then I got kind of picked up for some modeling stuff just in and around Winnipeg, local deals. When I went to Vancouver, they said go see our sister agency. Went there, and they're like, you're not gonna cut it. Like I mean, you're cute, but you're not model material. But have you ever acted? And I said no. Short story, ended up landing a gig. And they're like, but it shoots, it shot during when I was supposed to be in my first year of university. And I said, but it paid $2,500, which was crazy.
That's all the money
to me,
in the world. Right.
When you're 18, 19 years old, and I was like, I gotta do that and the experience. And so I said, you know what, I'll skip the first semester and I'll just stay in Vancouver, sleep in some couches and do that gig. And while that gig was going, I auditioned for another one and got that, and then it turned out I was half decent at it and never ended up going back to school and got my start in Vancouver.
Dude,
that's amazing.
Where did the thick skin come from, honestly? Because, you talk to people who are in show business and you hear about all of the rejection, like a lot of rejection, a lot of blunt people telling you you're not cute enough, you're not good enough. Sorry, kid. So what do you attribute that to?
Come from? I don't know. I mean, I would have to. Part of it is the way people are wired. I think you're wired for some things. Part of it comes from, a self-esteem that I guess my mom gave. Ended up giving me growing up in some way, shape, or form. God is another one where it's just like I ultimately know where my value is kind of held and
your identity
and that because you can try to find your identity, you can put it into your job or your family, even you can put it into really productive things, but the problem is if that doesn't pan out or something goes wrong, you lose your identity. Like you put your identity in something that can ultimately fail or do that, and with God you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
With God, He's consistent and He loves you, and so that's where mine comes from. I think for sure. But it sucks sometimes. I get down, and it's hard for me to get down, but sometimes I do, and I'm just like. I just want to, because I'm good at it. Like I'm good at my job, and
then you find out you're murdered on bones because you're watching a show.
And
you're like, cool, bro. Thanks for calling me.
You're hanging on by a string as the AV lab tech, and You know,
Lab
like
Tech 2.
where, you know, you're like, just turn up the heat and let me fall asleep. I'm like, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. And so I think it comes, and I mean, you gotta, I don't know. I do. I've seen enough of my work that I think I'm good. And I think I could be better than I am.
He loves you in Roswell.
So.
Huge.
You know,
treadmill.
Max is pretty good.
Max is,
yeah. Do you end up,
Just no spoilers, bro.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. What is the statute of limitations on spoilers?
Yeah.
I was just going to ask.
Damn near 20 years.
I was just going to ask because with streaming now, it's got to be pretty weird for actors, you know, because here's Roswell. I didn't watch it back in the day, and if you didn't watch it when it was on TV, you didn't get to watch it unless they had a rerun.
Yeah. Now you can kind of relive some.
Are you getting all
glory.
these new fans that are hitting you up that are like, oh my gosh,
I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm 42.
Yeah. We actually ours surprisingly kind of skewed older even back then. A little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
I was surprised, but yeah, They do. I mean, especially with the new one coming out, and then people, you know, you get some people who are like, look at this new show. And then you have other people going like, you know, that show sucks, the original. They're like, there was an original? And you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, I'm that old already. Where like people don't. 20 years, I mean, there's 18 years. They weren't born when I was shooting that show.
Well, you have to be
and
going,
they're driving and voting and whatever, and you're like, oh wow.
You have to be going to these Comic-Cons then, right? Because your fans, I'm telling you, I spent about a good 20 minutes on my treadmill today reading the comments.
Massive research.
And I'm going, holy 20 minutes,
wow,
bro. This is crazy. These fans are great.
I don't know.
Are you taking like garbage bags of cash out of Comic-Cons?
We haven't done a lot of Comic-Cons. I mean, I think the world, our fans are loyal, and but it's like, it was kind of a cultish show, but not cultish like Bruce Campbell and like Evil Dead, which is like reached a whole new level. Ours has this passionate base of fans, but like it can drive a certain amount. And back in the day, it did with the Tabasco sauce. But So you know, me and the girl who plays Maria on the show are actually trying to. We're in the midst of creating our show, which is kind of this like. It would be like a spiritual successor of it, where it takes the elements that people really liked, but in a unique and original package with different characters. But it's kind of the same dynamic, and we're on the verge of kind of putting that together, and it's something we want to shoot here, you know, in New Mexico, and kind of use that. And it's.
Okay, so the night shift. Let's get to that because that's a pretty important episode. You know, us being from Albuquerque, that was you know, had a pretty good run.
It did
3 seasons.
I think anything that goes past the season these days on TV.
Yeah, man.
Like, oh, how lucky was I?
Yeah, and you played a doctor, a veteran. Mm-hmm. Talk about that role. You know, you were a gay.
I was. It was great. It was one where it was funny that. There was a whole bunch of people apparently that didn't want to audition for the role based on the character being gay.
Really?
Yeah, you know, and well, you never know what they're. You know, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, where could they go with this, right? You're always thinking that on a TV show, sure. any character. You're going like, you know. In the opening episode, if you're kissing your sister, you know, like Game of Thrones, you're like, am I gonna, you know, like, holy smokes,
stand over this.
You're like, where are they? I mean,
where are they?
Because
going?
once you've signed on, they give you a script, and they're like,
sex in the lab.
You know, they're like, episode 2, here you go, you and a sheep in a room, have at it. They're like, so on a TV show, it's really scary, like, in terms of you know, they can do anything with your character that they want. After like a movie, you got the finish and you got the beginning and the end. You know what happened. You know the character's arc, and you go like, oh, I can accept that. That's pretty cool. The TV show, you're putting your hands into, you know, the writers and the show creators, or you're live into their hands. And so I think people were kind of scared at that. And I had a conversation like, what do we want out of this character? What are we going for? What's the deal? And I thought it had been. It was a character where I thought I could add something to the conversation of making him, you know, usually a lot of time you had Glee that was on at the time, and there was this kind of stereotypical gay guy, and they had never done, or I hadn't really seen, like a manly one. And I thought, well, that's cool. And then it was just one of those things where I thought it was a great story to tell as well, because you are, you know, that's what you're trying to do as an actor. And it was one where I had to, you know, you have to when you do you put yourself in other people's shoes, and you're like, oh, I've never really put myself in that person's shoes. So it's like, let me see how that feels and what it is. And you hear these stories of not being able to come out to their parents or this, or because of their job, and like to be a person who's always hiding something is got to be
stressful.
It's just got to be, you know what I mean? I mean, whether for good reasons or for bad reasons, you know, it's the reason I can't be a serial killer is because like it would eat me up inside, right? Like you would just like it would. You like to keep secrets, to keep something, you know, is just, and that's also what makes interesting television is when people do keep things inside and they're slowly revealed or people find out, and how, you know, that creates all the, you know, the drama that.
And I also heard that, you know, you playing a veteran, you don't have any family that served. You didn't serve.
Canada doesn't even have an army.
I was going to say, Canada, man, come on. I've seen
We're
South Park.
super sweet snipers.
I've seen South Park. I know.
We're super sweet snipers, so watch yourself.
In hockey.
Yeah.
They shoot
Top
a
right.
lot. Yes.
Top right, eh?
So what kind of research did you do for that, you know?
Well, that was a lot as well, because you want to make sure that you get as much right as possible. You know, because you're honoring you know, the men and women and the service and all that. And so you can't tell everybody's story though. Sure. Like you can't tell every gay man's story.
Right.
You can't tell every serviceman's story. You can't tell every doctor's story.
Right.
And so, you know, most people really enjoyed the character and the stories we did tell with my particular character and the other ones on the show. And some didn't, you know, but it was, you know, part of it is the not the boundaries of television, but the limitations of television.
Yeah.
No one wants to watch a real surgery. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
We wouldn't get past like putting the anesthetic of the guy. And then, so it's like you have to cut corners in some ways, and you gotta take some shortcuts in order to get to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And so, but I think, you know, we tried our best to tell a very specific story that people, you know, some people at least could relate to and make it authentic. And I loved that. Yeah, I loved that cast and that crew, and I loved that character because I learned a lot and I got to meet a lot of great people because of that.
Dude,
so
incredible.
That's part of the best reason about being an actor is meeting those people, doing the research, and coming into contact with those, hearing those stories and be like, oh wow, like I don't live, like even if you don't live in a bubble, you still only have your own experiences, and you're reacting off those and you're drawing off those, and you don't take a lot of time to maybe talk to people in this in-depth way that as an actor you should be doing in order to kind of, you know, get all those nuances of the character and find out different things, and we get to do that. So I think that's a blessing. It kind of rounds me out as a person as well. Yeah. Knowing that what I feel and what I think isn't always, that's not what everyone else is thinking.
Yeah, man. I like that concept.
And it's like, why do they think that way? And you don't have to agree with it, but just ask yourself, like, how can someone possibly think that way? Like, how do you vote for that guy? How do you how do you vote, and how do you continue to, you know, and like all those things? And some people do, and you're like, wow, where does that come from? And those are the interesting questions where you know, which is the fun part of it.
You own your own robe. We haven't even talked about this. You're wearing your robe.
Yeah, he shows up with his own robe.
A real belt.
A real belt.
I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, it's pretty.
Why the robe? Where did this come from?
I'm a huge Metallica fan.
Okay.
And back when I was single and working and had a regular paycheck on Roswell.
Yes.
And I could basically buy whatever I wanted.
Whatever,
I bought
this money.
I mean, I would just go to Metallica.com and be like, robe, drumsticks, 2 guitars, don't play guitar or drums.
Who cares?
Doesn't matter.
Money doesn't
Give me
matter.
the wristbands that James Hetfield wears.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Which I still have, by the way, too.
That's incredible.
So yeah,
it's incredible. So we gotta somehow.
So there was a poster, and it had a hood on it. I'd never seen a robe with a hood.
Yeah.
I never had a robe growing up as a kid.
Right.
And it was one of those things.
Because it's a robe.
Well, and they're expensive.
I don't have a robe. I still don't have a robe. This isn't mine. I borrowed this. This is
you know
my
what?
robe.
I don't even have a robe.
I don't own a robe.
I don't own a robe.
So I had never had one, and I kind of always wanted. I didn't know if I'd use it, but I was like, a robe said something about it. I don't know. There was something about
it's like
it.
a man owning a suit.
You're the only guest ever to ever show up with your own robe. It was like, we have a robe for you. No, you have your own robe.
No, I got I'm good.
Yeah.
It was like a coming of age thing for me. Like when you get your own robe, it's like That's it.
No, I
next
think you're
time
right.
next time we do an episode with you, we're gonna have sake. We might have chicken wings, just because why not?
Not bad idea.
We need something
And
that
we
needs
will
to
both
stay
have
warm.
our own robe.
Yes.
We will do that.
I mean, you're
the
men
goal.
now. The fact that you, a little behind on.
We are behind. Yeah. I am
Talk
a
to therapist
grown
about
man.
that. Maybe stunted.
Yeah.
Stunted growth in some way between you two.
I don't have
having
that
your own robe.
Roswell money, so I don't have.
Neither
it's
do
like,
I
just-
anymore. I don't get paid for the new one.
You don't get any royalty checks from that?
No.
What?
Nobody
you don't get anything
remembers
from.
it.
You don't get anything from.
Even
how
from
dare you?
Get him.
Yeah,
Get 'em.
man, this gonna be.
Those were
Three
your
enter, two are
words.
leaving. 3 enter, 2 are leaving. There's gonna be blood splatter on this. Blood splatter come out of this pint.
Talk to me. I got you.
I lost it.
Man.
I lost it.
I
It's
get
the
you.
heat,
Yeah.
Brendan.
Yeah,
It's the
right.
heat. I just don't even
What
know.
was the last royalty check that you opened?
Exactly. So, but you don't really get anything from Hulu or Netflix either.
Okay.
Like it's kind of people are like you're making no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You should come to YouTube. It's awesome.
YouTube Red would be great for our new show.
Okay.
I'd pay for it.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He
I let
really
you watch the first
eats
one
it
for free.
up.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'll give you my... No, I can't. We're on YouTube. I can't tell you that.
You can't. No.
Cut that.
You would never
So-
do that.
Hell no.
Okay,
I wouldn't.
you think so?
All right.
Okay, I got a question though before we wrap up
Yeah.
because you've mentioned the freaking rejection and everything over and over, and then you're out of work for months and you've got to kick into this. Like, what is that like?
Brutal.
Yeah. Like
It's-
you're
it's
just
not
like
fun.
waiting for
That
your
part-
agent to call, or like, you know what I mean?
You have to make it fun.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm still finding out how to do it the best for me. I mean, I've been pretty good at it, but there's a desperation that can sink in, like breadwinner of the family. I'm like, I gotta work, I gotta do this. I'm like, well, then you see the funds dwindling. You're like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
And it used to be. And that kind of can sink into a performance, and people can like smell it.
Yeah.
And then you start giving them like, what do they? What's going to get me this job? What are they looking for? Which is the worst way to go about anything.
Right.
It's like, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And I'm getting better at that.
Yeah.
But now I'm putting something on tape. Mm-hmm. You get the audition, put it on tape, send it out, and I look at it. I'm like, yeah, that's the way I want to do that. I don't care.
Yeah.
If they like it at this point or not. I mean, I do need a job at some point, so there is going to be the anxiety that's going to kick in if it gets too long. But again, that's I think I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a math teacher. I ended up here. As being an actor, I ended up in New Mexico. I think I'm supposed to be here
spot
for a reason.
Netflix just moved here.
Yeah. And so I don't know if that
You
helps
can be on
me,
Sex
though.
Education
It does.
too as the math teacher.
does.
Yeah.
Boom!
No,
Trying to get me arrested?
I said the math
Just a
teacher.
show.
What? You're the innocent math teacher. You're just on the show. I didn't.
Yeah, that's one of the. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where the anxiety will kick in, but now it's like it's play, like it's work and it's my livelihood and it's serious. But this is like I'm blessed to be able to do that for a living, and so it's like I gotta have fun with it, and that's when I'm gonna do the best work. And sometimes that's hard to juggle.
Yeah.
But that's the fight, right? That's the fight for life. Like in life is to kind of to make the best of it and to find out, put a positive spin on something, take it from another perspective that allows you to do your best and flourish and all those whatever else. But so I mean, it's a tough gig, but I think God put me here for a reason, and that's what I'm relying on, and that's what I stick with.
I love it, dude.
well, on that note, you're gonna sing us out.
Yes, you are.
The Don't Sweat the Small Stuff.
Clearly,
theme
you've
song.
binged our show,
You know the theme
so
song.
you know the theme song. So we
do
always
the
let the
honors.
guests start.
You go right ahead.
And you can
We
sing
can
us
get
out.
out of here.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small